your sex life, or your romantic relationship? Elizabeth Wood and Dan Powers are sex educators and intimacy and relationship coaches, bringing a combined 48 years of experience in holistic learning to promote body positivity, self-discovery, and genuine pleasure.
Through education, personalized coaching, and innovative events, we aspire to transform societal attitudes by fostering a culture of empowerment, connection, and healing for all. Reach out to see if coaching is right for you. Visit pleasuremovement.com.
What if the answers you seek are written in the salts of the cosmos? This is your invitation to explore salt readings with Salika, a gateway to the wisdom of the salt worlds, a different kind of Akasha. Uncover why you're here, reconnect with your soul's energy, and gain clarity for the road ahead. This is more than guidance. It's remembrance, and remembrance creates waves of change. Book your salt reading now at salika-saltvision.com.
Welcome to Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance, where we uncover the powerful truth about your beginnings and how they've shaped your entire life. I'm Shannon O'Flaherty, and in this show, we're not just exploring your birth, we are dismantling the chains of generational trauma. We're diving into the core of who you are, peeling back layers of inherited beliefs and behaviors that have held you back for far too long. This isn't just about understanding your past. It is about reclaiming your future. Get ready to break free. This is Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance, and your transformation starts now. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Shannon O'Flaherty, and thanks for coming to watch the show today, Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance. And I'm so thrilled to announce, I just have to tell the whole world that from the last show to this show, I've become a grandmother, and my daughter-in-law birthed Breach naturally, a little girl, on January 16th. So I'm absolutely overjoyed, and everybody is healthy and well. I'm telling random strangers on the street. Today, I'm very, very excited to have with me Claudine Marchand, and she was born with spina bifida and shaped by early medical trauma, displacement, and nervous system shock. And her life began at the intersection of vulnerability and resilience. And in today's powerful episode, Claudine traces her journey from an unconventional conception and birth in Morocco through childhood surgeries and physical limitation to a world-class scientific career and eventually a profound reckoning with the limits of mainstream medicine. With rare clarity, she weaves together neuroscience, embodied trauma, alternative medicine, indigenous wisdom, and spiritual remembrance, offering a radically integrated view of healing. This is not a story about overcoming a condition. It's a conversation about remembering who we are beyond diagnosis, conditioning, and social molds. Claudine, I'm so excited to have you here. I think you're an absolutely amazing woman with light energy oozing out of every single pore. And it's been so fascinating to speak to you and get to know about you and your birth story and what's brought you to this perfect place now. Welcome.
Thank you, Shannon, for having me. It's so nice. It's the first time in my life I mention what I lived through in the beginning.
Is it really? Oh my gosh. It's so, I'm so honored. It's extra, extra important. It's so important, everybody, to tell your story and share your story. And this one is particularly moving. This is not just any birth story. This is a birth story on the edge. So Claudine, let's jump right in at the beginning. How did you get to this perfect place now? Start with your birth, please.
Okay. I guess I'd like to move even before my birth because my conception was already quite something exceptional. My parents got married in Paris in the cathedral on a Friday, 13th November It was on a day where transports were striking, no taxis, no metro, nothing. So they went to the church in a hearse.
That's an interesting start to life for going in a hearse. That's full circle right there. Wow. Wow.
It was raining, it was cold, and I presume that I was conceived this first night.
Hmm. Conceived on Friday the 13th. Well, that's a very lucky day for me. My first son was born on a Friday the 13th. So,
Yeah, I like Friday 13th. I always was lucky on them.
so
And
you were conceived on Friday the 13th, and then
yeah,
what happened?
and I think what happened, which interfered with my evolution as a fetus, was also that my mother had to take a vaccine on tuberculosis that was mandatory in France at that moment if she wanted to get married. And since they
Right.
had decided to get married in Paris while my father was working there, so she had to undergo this vaccination.
A now, I don't know if it still is. I know I had to have some kind of vaccination to get married also. I don't remember what it was, but that's interesting.
I
Okay.
think that's very, very varied according to the countries. In
Mhm.
Switzerland, even according to the cantons, we have 26 different health systems in
Wow.
Switzerland.
Yeah. Okay. So they were bound by that.
Yeah. So when I went through the embryo fetus evolution, the spinal cord is being created in the first 3 weeks. And just to recall, there is a plate, the neural plate,
Mhm.
which will roll up and form the neural tube. And then this neural tube is being zippered from the center up to the head and from the center down to the coccyx.
Okay. In every baby, that's how the
That's
spinal.
normal. That's a biological way it happens. And if there is an event during that phase, this zippering may not happen correctly.
Right.
And that's what creates what is called the spina bifida, which means that the spine isn't totally zippered. It may be quite open, or it may be just a slit. Whatever, you never know. It depends what happened at the moment.
Wow. So, well, now they can detect these things in utero, but I suppose back then there were no scans, so your mother didn't know.
My mother, during the pregnancy, was in the Middle Atlas in Morocco, where my father was doing engineer work for a dam, core uh, core exploration, how the ground was, whether they could build a dam there.
So
And they
literally
were
out in the middle of nowhere, in the
in the
mountain.
middle of nowhere in a desertic environment. The next village was a Berber village. That was all. And the next town was 8 hours from there. It was Marrakesh.
Wow.
And that's where they got actually their food from, mostly preserves. And that's another factor that could have influenced my growth, because nowadays we know that vitamin B9 is important folic acid for the construction of the spine.
Wow. I mean, this is so fascinating because this is the beyond part of the title of the show, Beyond Birth Trauma, right? So birth, it doesn't just start right there in utero. It
Mm,
starts before. It starts with our ancestors. It starts with what was the circumstances given to us in the time. So these are
absolutely.
all indicators of all of that that came before you came even.
Yeah.
So wow. Okay. It's fascinating.
Hmm.
Continue, please.
So I spent the pregnancy time out there in the desert. And then my mother felt that she had to give birth, and they drove down to Rabat, which is the capital of Morocco,
Mhm.
because they were told that white people couldn't give birth in Marrakesh. It was much too hot in summer.
All right. Okay.
So they had to go down to the seaside. And when my mother arrived, they wanted to send her back, saying, "Oh, no, it's your first one. It will take a long time." And she said, "No, I don't go back."
Mhm.
Luckily, because only 2 hours later, I was already arriving.
Wow. It's amazing what they're telling a woman in labor. It's like, okay, we've never had a baby before, but we know what's going on. We're in this process, in this dance with our
Yeah.
child. It's just amazing. Okay,
Mhm.
so you were born then
I
in
was born there. And as I came to understand much later through regressions and such things, when I came out through the birth canal, I must have been paralyzed for about 30 minutes because since my spine was open, the spinal cord was already protruding a little bit, just like a cherry pit, very little, but the pressure of coming through the birth canal affected the spinal fluid in my spine, and that knocked me out for about half an hour.
Oh my God, your parents must have been so worried, so distraught.
My my mother was all alone in the birth room with two other ladies who were giving birth, one screaming, "If my kid doesn't have blue eyes, I don't want it." And the other one
That's all that matters. Oh my goodness gracious.
and the other one was a young Arab woman who was really in pain and screaming. So that's what she told me. I don't know. And the nuns were in the church because it was just the moment of the last service of the day. And there was just a young Arab uh, nurse who was there looking after.
So, do you think that somehow your nervous system remembers kind of all of that?
I feel that I remember that in my cells. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it goes into we hold 7 generations of cellular memory in
Yeah.
our cells from in utero, from our grandmothers and before that. So
Mm.
all of that activity going on, um, yeah, it's quite fascinating that that somehow goes into your conscious mix, even though it's unconscious.
Mhm.
That's fascinating. So let's talk about your body, your early sort of medical encounters, and
Until 2.5 years, I was fine. I was
okay.
running, I was doing everything. I just had this little thing on my back. And with growing, evidently, this cherry pit grew, became a plum, and more and more. And with 2.5 years old, I started paralyzing on my right leg. I
So
don't know whether that had something to do with the accident my father had when I was 16 months old, and he drove into a heap of plaster stones with his motorbike and lost part of his left brain.
oh my God, your poor mother. I mean, So she's got this
Yeah.
baby, and now she's got a husband. So what happened? So you think that perhaps um, the stress of your mother and your father's stuff went into you and
Yeah, maybe there was
exacerbated.
something because I was taken by my grandmother, my aunt, when my father had the accident. So I grew up with my grandmother,
Mhm.
which was very fine. She was a great lady. And I didn't move back with my parents before I was 3.5 years old.
Oh, wow.
And they moved back together.
Right. Okay. So that's even though your parents didn't abandon you because your mother had to
No,
care for
they
your
didn't. Yeah.
father, you're still getting that because you're now raised with grandmother and the babies just want the parents. So, I mean, for all of you listening, like, I mean, I had abandonment issues and I was just in an incubator for like a day or three. I don't know. It can happen from anything when your parents are right there loving you, wanting you, but it goes in deeper because that baby doesn't have the big picture or the whole understanding of everything. So that's so what happened with the paralysis in your leg when you were two then?
I just couldn't put down my foot anymore. My mother said she came to get me from the bed because she would spend time with me from time to time and then go back to look after my father.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, she said she came into my little room and I told her I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't put down my right leg. So I got the braces and all kinds of stuff, and it was kind of a traumatic time because the braces would hurt my ankle, and I would always have something that was an open wound or for
Yeah.
years.
That's really hard for anybody, but for a child, when you're growing and developing, and like children, you see them, they can almost run before they can walk because that's such forward momentum on every level. Your cells are moving, your brain is moving, everything's moving. So then to be, well, literally caged in and suppressed, where you
I was still running. I
with
was
the brace
still,
too.
yeah, sure.
Really? You're
Yeah, yeah.
still doing
I
it.
was still playing with the kids outside.
Mhm. Wow. And so, so what happened after that? How long did you have to wear the braces?
Until I was 5, and I had my first operation, and they blocked the ankle so that I could put down the foot again. It wouldn't go like a spoon and stay
Mm-hmm.
flat. And from then on, I walked with or without braces, whatever. But I walked without crutch or anything else. So I could get along, except for the gym, where they didn't want me anymore when I was 10 or 12, because they started doing ballet kind of stuff
Mm-hmm.
and not just climb up on ropes or play with the balls,
Mm-hmm.
which I did totally normally. The teacher once called my mother and said, "What should I do? Because she's climbing up the ropes and jumping down like everybody else." And my mother said, "Close your eyes."
Close your eyes. So, so you did go to normal school and you integrated with
Absolutely.
normal kids and you just did everything that
Mhm.
that you could do.
Yeah.
And so what would you say to a parent of a child with any disability, disease, illness, or whatever circumstance they're in?
Trust them and encourage them. They
Mm-hmm.
will know their limits by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Mm-hmm.
they hurt themselves, it's not a problem. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, every kid can break a bone or something. It's not specific to any handicap.
Wow. So, and so even despite all of the medical trauma, you had a very loving mother and father and grandmother, and everybody
Yeah,
told you you can do whatever you want.
absolutely. Mhm.
And so, even though you were born into medical trauma, because you were raised in love, um, that paradox became a crucible for everything else that followed. And
Yeah,
this,
my mother told me, look, your legs don't work like others' legs, so you have to develop your brain.
Mhm,
Otherwise, go ahead and do whatever you want.
I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if everybody's parents said, you know what? You're amazing. You're able, you're capable, do whatever you want. Don't
Yeah,
do things just to please me, do things to please you. We'd live in such a completely different world.
yeah.
So let's fast forward to your late teens. How did you had this childhood? Were you still having surgeries then?
Yeah, yeah. I had surgeries until about 25.
Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
And so talk
I,
about
w
your
I
20.
went to university. I studied life sciences because I wanted to know how life functions.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because my math teacher told me, why don't you do languages instead of math? It would be so much easier for you. But it was much more important for me to understand what science knew about life. And for
Yeah.
that, I needed an infrastructure. Whereas for languages, you don't need infrastructure. You can pick them up anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true.
So I went to the Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich,
Mm-hmm.
the equivalent of MIT in the States, and did a master in biochemistry and life sciences, and
Mm-hmm.
then a PhD in molecular biology and neurosciences.
Wow. I mean, to me, it makes perfect sense why you would study all of these things because here you are in this body that doesn't work like everybody else's body. You'd want to understand that at a deeper level. Um,
Mhm.
so what did you do with with those studies?
Then I went to the States for my postdoc.
Mm-hmm.
And just before I left for my postdoc, I suddenly started having pains in my back, as if somebody was twirling knitting needles in my spine.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was very, very strong.
How long was that going on for?
10 years.
That's
And
exhausting.
the specialist told me, look, the only thing we can offer you is painkillers that would drug you so you can't go on with your research. So I said, okay, then keep them. I have other things to
So
do.
you stayed in pain so that you could keep expanding your brain. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
real
decided that there
commitment.
must be other ways than just sedating somebody like that. I mean, that's not a life. So
No.
I started playing around with breathing and seeing what kind of breathing patterns would help me. And so I developed that.
So what did you do?
When it came on, the pain, I just would welcome it and
Mm-hmm.
expand it because usually people, when they start having pain, they contract.
Yeah.
And by
Yeah.
contracting, you block it and you enhance the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I would like imagine a big balloon and let
Mm-hmm.
the pain fill
Fill
the
it up.
balloon. And when it really fills the balloon explodes and the
Mm-hmm.
pain is gone.
Wow. That's really kind of becoming one with your pain, isn't it?
Mhm.
Really just allowing the pain to integrate instead of keeping this
Yeah,
wall of resistance, like this pain is separate from me. If the pain is in you, it's part of you, isn't it? So to
absolutely.
embrace, it's like embracing the shadow in a weird way,
Mhm.
but the actual physical shadow, the physical pain part. Wow, that's quite fascinating. And it did help you relieve the pain?
Oh, yeah. And that was something that I could do because around my 20s, I realized that I had actually been walking next to myself, making comments about what I was going to do instead of having an alignment of my spirit and my body. My spirit
Right.
was hanging out next to me.
Like kind of from that transpersonal state of watching yourself
Yeah,
go
yeah. I
through
think
life.
it was just too painful when I was a little kid. So I
Hmm.
stepped out of the body.
Hmm. Hmm.
And later, towards my 20s, I realized what had happened. And I said, I can't go on like that because then I'm just simply onlooker of life all the time. I
Right.
don't really participate. So I started to figure out how to integrate
Wow.
until I,
It's fascinating. I really resistance in itself is a whole subject that permeates everyone's lives to one
mm,
degree or another, really, whether
mhm,
it's just resistance about something you don't want to do at work or power struggles with other people, but just within yourself, you've got all of this going on. That's really quite fascinating. Now my mind is going about the transpersonal state, and if you're in the transpersonal state, are you also out of your body, but you're not really out of your body, but you are, but you're not? Like, I've got
mhm.
lots of thoughts happening with this conversation. So that's fascinating. So then, was it then with the breath work? Then you went to the States
Yeah,
to do
I
PhD?
used my breath work to go through this period.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came back, it was beautiful. I had the chance to be close to New York and Long Island in SUNY, and
Mm-hmm.
then in UCSF Medical Center, then back to Storrs, Connecticut, and back to UCSF Medical Center. That allowed me to cross the continent 3 times in my little Pinto.
In your Pinto, you drove across America three
Yes,
times in your Pinto. I've driven across America 5 times in U-Haul trucks and things. It's a long way, isn't it?
yeah, just in my little Pinto, nothing else.
Wow. And did you always take the same path, or did you
Oh
take the
no, I
path some
wanted to
time?
explore.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, it's a great road trip. Uh,
it was fun.
So, so what did you discover there? So tell us briefly about your research in the States and getting your PhD.
For my PhD, I worked with a ray, Torpedo marmorata, who is a small ray that transformed part of its chest muscles into an electrical organ.
Cool.
And with this electrical organ, it stunts its prey.
Like a stinging a manta ray or a stinging ray in the water you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah,
Right?
but it's a small one, just about that size. Mhm.
Wow.
And so I was researching this electrical organ to see how this muscle had been modified and whether there was a way to research more deeply the acetylcholine receptor, which is a receptor of the transmitter acetylcholine, which is the one that triggers the muscle movement, the contractions.
Okay, okay, wow.
And
Yeah.
then there is the enzyme acetylcholinesterase, which breaks it down, this transmitter, to allow a release of the muscle again. And
So,
so I was working on the dynamics of these two molecules.
I mean, clearly why you would be too. Again, I mean, it's just so fascinating how we form as adults because of what's come before.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of a more apparent reason for you, but it happens in all of us in one way, shape, or form. That's really quite fascinating. And
And
is
then
that
in the States, I looked at the transport from the eye into the superior colliculus, and then from there in the visual zone of the brain.
okay? Cool.
And yeah, how it was being transported, what I injected into the eye through the visual nerve.
Wow. And is this all part of neurovirology?
Everything that
Neurovirology.
touches neuro, whatever it is.
Yep. Neuro. Okay. Wow. That's amazing. And so what did you gain from all of this insight and wisdom?
Uh, I did fundamental research. I didn't do research that was applied. So I just was curious to see how the things work. And then somebody else, maybe in the lab, would pick it up to do something practical with it.
And so what did you
Then
learn?
it's difficult to explain. It's
Yeah.
very abstract.
What did you realize about science at that point?
What I realized was that we were learning more and more about less and less, and that we weren't actually integrating what we saw into the complexity of a whole human being.
That's so important what you just said, that you weren't integrating what you saw into the whole complexity of a whole human being. Like spot on, Claudine. That is really the problem.
You
Keep going.
know, science since the beginning has considered whatever life it is, whether it's an animal, a plant, or a human, like the sum of its parts. So you just can take a part, look at it, and then think, okay, I've understood that part, so I know how it functions in the whole. I
No,
don't agree with that view.
no, I don't agree with that either. No. I mean, we are mind, we're body, we're spirit. We work holistically all together. Wow. So,
It's much
okay,
more complex, yeah.
all these
I
studies
mean,
and
it's interesting, and that's also what's very complex in the big movement now. Neuroscience says this, neuroscience says that. Okay, so what? I mean, it's very nice to know that part, but then I have to see how does that work out in the whole.
so with this
And
kind
we,
of
sorry.
realization about science and okay,
Mhm.
it's great.
It's very interesting to understand science and to go on with that. With a caveat, don't mistake what you know for the whole knowledge. We are really in an embryonic state in science for the moment. When you look at the transmissions we have from the Veda, from the Indian Vedas, they knew so many things more than science has developed through the 200, 300 years since it exists.
Well, wisdom is not just science, is it? Wisdom is
No.
the whole thing.
Mhm.
So what happened next after all the science?
So I came back to Switzerland. I went into a totally new arena, which was neurovirology. I was working with herpes virus to look what happens when herpes virus gets into nerve cells, how they react, what kind of pathways are being shut off or enhanced and such things. And at that moment, a friend of mine who is doing, a medical doctor who was doing her PhD there, she said, do you know osteopathy? I said, no. So she explained to me more or less what it was, and she said, maybe it's time you do something for yourself. So I went to the osteopath and discovered how he worked on my body and all that. And this guy was studying acupuncture. I had had acupuncture sessions before I went to States to see whether that would help my pain. And it was very nice to have these sessions, but it didn't hold on. It didn't last the effect. So I said, okay, let's see what that is. So I signed up for the course in acupuncture and received a confirmation for a course in homeopathy. I said,
You
okay.
didn't do anything by halves, Claudine, do you?
And I had no idea what homeopathy was or anything like that. I didn't know anything about alternative medicine. So I went to my first week, and we had 2 days of homeopathy, 2 days of Chinese medicine, and 1 day of osteopathy.
Wow.
With people who were just excellent, really tops.
Wow. And so you started studying all of the holistic arts, basically.
So I got into this training while I was still doing neurovirology research.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then you
And I
moved.
started slowly but surely needing a second crutch to walk around. My back started really giving in. And so it became more and more difficult to do research also. I mean, how could I carry a plate with petri dishes when I had 2 crutches at the
Right.
same
Okay.
time? And
Right.
I wasn't ready to move on into administration. I
Mm-mm.
like to be practical and to have my hands on.
Mm-hmm. And
So by the time I had done my trainings, uh, I moved into alternative medicine.
mhm. And more than osteopathy
Yeah, I
and
mean, this was the base of what I did. Then I did naturopathy, Western natural medicine.
Mhm.
I did lots of energetics. I worked with with many different kinds of techniques,
Mhm.
also reflexology and all the other body kinds of stuff,
Mhm.
realignment,
And also you did
and then I also worked 6 years with a shaman of the First Nations, and 6 years, 2 months a year with Hawaiian elders.
mhm. Wow. Yeah, you've really brought in all of the aspects of healing. I think we spoke about Colette Stryker and her MAP program, which I'm currently signed up in and studying the
Mhm.
practitioner's course because I thought it's not dissimilar to the work that I currently do, but it's just at a whole deeper level. And she had studied 100 million things like you
Yeah,
had,
yeah,
and then discovered MAP and kind of quit everything else she was doing because she's like, this is the most effective because it brings
yeah.
it integrative. It brings all of
Mhm.
it together. And I thought, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to bring it all together. So
I still feel even if you do that, there are things that are easier to contact through body work.
Oh, I'd never give up the body work because I
That,
would
yeah,
not. Yeah, yeah. Wow.
yeah,
And so all of the other things, you also became an NLPT.
yeah. I'm NLP therapist, NLP coach, um, master hypnotherapist, Ericksonian master hypnotherapist. I did Dolores Cannon work, QHHT, with herself.
Mm-hmm.
I did also transtemporal hypnosis with Isabelle David of Canada.
Wow.
And it's going on. I mean, whenever I see something that's interesting, I like to pick it up.
Well, it's a continuing process, self-discovery and
Yeah,
evolution, because also new stuff is coming up all the time. People are learning new things and teaching new things and discovering new things. So we got to keep on top of it, really. So so you've invested quite a lot of money into your own
oh,
wi-
yeah, probably more than 1 million.
I feel you. I think it's actually really important for the viewing and listening audience to hear that real healers have invested
Yeah,
thousands and maybe millions in their training, not just gone on a little weekend course and calling themselves a healer. No, no, no. But that we're constantly learning and evolving because it never stops. And
never
I too have
stops.
invested, thousands and thousands in my trainings and learnings because
And
it,
it's a double path. On one hand, we learn what we can use for others,
yes.
but on the other hand, it's also learning who we are and what of our gifts we can use more deeply, more widely.
Absolutely. I mean, it's self-development and
Yeah,
self-healing and growing and evolving and the amazing people you meet along the way too. Because when you go
absolutely.
deeply into these professions, you meet other like-minded, super intelligent people with other gifts and skills, and real magic starts to happen. So what do you wish that medicine understood about infants and trauma that it still doesn't?
I think the first thing is kids, when they are born, they are sentient.
Hmm.
They are very, very sentient. I had the chance to bring to into this world my niece,
Hmm.
because when my sister was about to give birth, they were just changing the team. And
Hmm.
so she was all alone in the birth room. And when I came in, because I had to fill in the forms and all that for her, when I came in, I asked her, "How far are you?" And she said, "I think she wants to come." I said, "Okay, let's go."
Go. Wow.
It
Wow.
was my first birth I accompanied. So,
Wow, it is really something. I mean, I have two children that have come through me naturally, but today I watched my daughter-in-law's birth, this breech
yeah,
birth of my granddaughter, and I just sat there sobbing my eyes out because it was like so beautiful. It's so much more emotional somebody else's birth than your own because
really.
you're just in
Uh-huh.
it, right? But it was so beautiful. I'm so proud of her. She did such a good job. So,
Yeah, my sister was good. She was actually upset because she had to give birth in Geneva. She was
oh,
just visiting her friends,
oh, she didn't want
and
to.
and nobody spoke German there. She
Oh,
had,
wow.
so I
Wow.
was there, and she was saying, "Why didn't you tell me?" To the little one coming out, "Why didn't you tell me ahead of time that you wanted to come?" So I just changed my breathing, and she was following wonderfully.
Hmm. Hmm.
So because she wasn't listening to what I was saying. So, but her subconscious was working with my movements, my body. So with my body, I guided her through the birth.
Mm-hmm.
And when finally the doctors came to give her a peridural injection or whatever, the head had already come out.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was an incredible moment when the head came out of my sister's body, stopped, and the little one looked around as if she was wondering, do I like this environment? Is that okay to come out here or not? And she really had a very clear gaze.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can tell me she couldn't see anything.
Yeah. No, it's just so beautiful. It's amazing that we can start as these little creatures and grow up into, well, my
Mm,
son's 6'2" and very hairy. Like, how could he grow up into this giant thing when they just start out?
absolutely.
So, what would you say to your younger self, who you once were, knowing what you know now in terms of science, mainstream, holistic? What's the
I
message you?
would start by congratulating. Congratulating it for how it took what happened
Mm-hmm.
and went through all these troubles, saying, okay, that's part of life, so let's go through it.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
And from child on, thanks to my mother, I was allowed to express my feelings and telling what I felt. And I mean, I told a doctor when I was, what was it, 12? I told him, look, that's the first and last time you touch me.
Right. Oh, right. Wow.
It was okay.
How was that received?
He was he was completely, huh? I said, yeah, I know your intention was good, but you have two left hands. Sorry, I can't handle that. Take care of you at the same time as I have to take care of me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's one other thing I would like to mention. People often helped me,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't ask me what I needed. So
Right.
when I had two crutches and a bag over my shoulder, and they wanted to help me and they pulled away the bag to carry it, my right crutch went with it.
Right.
And when I said something and said, please give me back my crutch, often I was insulted and told, we are here trying to help you and you tell us that we don't do what's right.
Mm-hmm. Well, how can they possibly know unless they're in your same situation?
No, they can ask.
Mhm.
Please ask first.
How can I help you?
Yeah,
How would be the best way I can help you?
yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Would you like help? And how do you want the help?
How can I help you? Yeah.
Very simple.
So, before we had spoken about, you had said that you have to wait for a new generation to come if you want to have a shift in
In
scientific
science.
viewpoint.
Uh, that's what we said until now, because there is always like the frontier science,
Mm-hmm.
which is so far ahead from the science that's being taught, and still further ahead from the science that's being mainstream in the media and all that. We have quantum physics,
Mm-hmm.
who since the 1920s or even before started changing the outlook on life drastically.
Mm-hmm.
And still we are told that we are separated from other things, that there is nothing like a human. even though we know by now that we are embedded in this network of communication, which contains also the network of nature communication through the plants, through the mushroom.
Thank you. Yes,
I mean, we are part of all these things.
we are. We are all connected.
If we
Everything.
don't recognize that, we'll always be depressed and say, how can that happen to me? No, I'm part of a huge system. And if I don't acknowledge that, I'll never understand what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very well said. Yes, I think that we're star seeds.
Yeah, I mean, we are under the effect of the solar storms, which are very active since last year. We just had again 19th to 21st of January, again a very, very strong series of solar storms. We feel that in our body. Our electromagnetic field is touched by that. Every cell we have in the body, and we have about 50 trillion cells, every cell has an electromagnetic field and has about 74 millivolt. I mean, much of the depression that we are living through now is also caused by the electromagnetic fields of the 5G, 6G that we have now,
Yeah.
because they interfere with our electromagnetic field.
Of course it does. So I don't know why people poo-poo this. To me, it just seems
Because most people are not aware that our heart and our brain are working with the earth rhythm. And if we don't have time in nature, barefoot or hugging trees, even if that's woo-woo, it's not woo-woo at all. It's scientifically proved that a quarter of an hour walking or standing on real ground, not 10 centimeters of
yeah.
greens, of lawn, that takes away 2/3 of the inflammation of our body.
So, Claudine, we're coming to the end. So, how has all of this manifested into your life, and what are you currently offering and doing with people?
I come to the understanding that the most important thing we can offer today is to accompany people to themselves. We have been from childhood on in a societal mold. We have been actually educated. If you take it from Latin, e is ex, is taking out from our center and put into an external mold, that societal mold, so that we would function according to the needs of society, not according to our gifts we came with.
Wow.
So the first thing for me when I work with somebody is to help them get rid of anything that's limiting them. Limiting beliefs, limiting value system, whatever. And once they have recovered freedom of thought, freedom in their bodies also, in their movements, what's allowed, in the use of their voice, whatever, in their expression, then they are able to create a new part of life with awareness coming from, okay, that's something that really makes me feel fulfilled, that gives me strength, joy. And from here, when I step into this new vision of my life, I fully can externalize my gifts, share them.
And so, and you work one-to-one with people?
I work one-to-one in small groups because it's pretty deep work.
Mm-hmm. And what
And
is,
if there is anything physical that needs to be taken care of, we can look at it too.
mm-hmm. So it's absolutely fascinating. Claudine, tell people your website or email, how they can reach you if they want to work with you. Tell people what that is now, please.
My website, which will soon be under construction, is simply www.claudinemarchand, my name, .net.
.net. Okay.
.net. And otherwise, you find me on LinkedIn. You find me on Facebook. And my email is very simple. CM_coach@pm.me.
Okay. Thank you very much. Or you can also find her details on the Transformation Talk Radio page under this show. Or you could look at guests, and you could look at my page, shannonbtb.com, which is also on my website, shannonoflaherty.com. So, Claudine, if there was one message of soul remembrance that you would like our viewing and listening audience to take away from today's show, what would it be?
I would say I carry the wisdom of my body and the knowing of my soul in each one of my 50 trillion cells.
Wow, that's very powerful. I carry the wisdom of my body and the knowing of my soul in all of my 50 trillion cells, in every single one. So remember that, everybody. Claudine, thank you so much for coming out of silence and telling your story publicly. I think it's a very important story to know that it isn't just overcoming a condition, that it's embracing all that life gives you, whatever it is, and finding the joy and positivity and the higher purpose. Because look at what gifts you offer to the world now. And I'm sure that everyone hearing this today has had a lot of aha moments. And if you'd like to speak with me, you can contact me or Claudine. Thank you so much. It's been such an honor and a pleasure to have you with me here today.
Thank you.
Lots of love,
It was
everybody.
my pleasure. Bye.
See you next time.
Thank you.
You have been listening to Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance with Shannon O'Flaherty on Transformation Talk Radio. On the second Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, we connect the dots between your ancestors, your birth, and the patterns that keep you stuck, guiding you to a place of profound healing and unstoppable brilliance. By examining and healing your cellular imprint from birth of how you perceive and respond to the world and the challenges that are created in your day-to-day life, we can begin to heal and live more balanced and fulfilling lives. For more information, visit shannonbtb.com. That's shannonbtb.com.
Dr. Lori every second and fourth Monday at 11:30 Pacific Time on Transformation Talk Radio, as she and her guests share powerful stories of neurodiverse experiences, navigating a world not built for diversity. Connect with Dr. Lori Noto today at notoholisticconsulting.com.
Are you ready to heal your mind, body, and soul? Tune into the Real Healing Institute show with Michelle Sinclair every second and fourth Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Tap into the power of spiritual guidance to heal your beliefs, elevate your well-being, and release subconscious pain. Enter the space where truth reigns and divine alignment begins. Ready to step into higher spiritual awareness? Visit therealhealinginstitute.com today and start your journey. Hi, I'm Michelle, and I want to welcome you to the Real Healing Institute. This is your invitation to my spiritual circles, where your energy is read, your life receives channeled clarity, and your soul is mirrored by others walking this path with you. Come and be seen, guided, and activated. These spiritual circles are sacred containers, personal energy readings, channeled guidance for your life, and a conscious community where insights flow and souls remember who they are. Visit therealhealinginstitute.com to sign up.
What if healing didn't have to be heavy? Welcome to The Funny Kind with Erica Gumany, the show that brings heart, humor, and hope to everyday life. Part deep dive, part stand up for the soul. Erica helps you find the funny, even in life's messiest moments. Because growth is good, but it doesn't have to be so serious. Tune into The Funny Kind and get ready to laugh, reflect, and reconnect with the extraordinary human you already are. Catch every episode and connect with Erica at yourpivotalpoint.com.
Living a life by design. It's the journey back to you and living 365 days of purpose with host Esther Graham. Tune in every second and fourth Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific. Discover that what is possible is already in you. God designed a phenomenal life for you. At Living a Life by Design, Esther helps you ignite the energy behind your personal journey. For more information, visit fddwomen.com.
Do you want to better understand and embrace neurodiversity? I'm Dr. Lori Noto, with over 30 years of experience working with diverse and unique individuals. Through my consulting and purpose-driven life coaching, I focus on empowering individuals with disabilities. My passion is advocacy, providing the tools for neurodiverse individuals to thrive and feel included in classrooms, workplaces, and communities. Unlock the potential of possibility, power, and purpose. Connect with me today at notoholisticconsulting.com.
Have you ever wondered why certain moments can take your breath away? I'm Jenny Sykes, corporate recruiter turned soul alignment strategist, energy worker, and your friendly neighborhood doula for every stage of life except the delivery room. Each week we open the toolkit, tarot, astrology, hypnosis, Reiki, and more so you can trade confusion for clarity, and autopilot for intentional alignment. Whether you're navigating a career pivot, a spiritual awakening, empty nesting, or just the sacred messiness of becoming, this space is for you. You're not just evolving, you're remembering. Let's rise together. The Ascending Dawn Doula Show starts now.
Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Pat, and we're kicking this off right out of the gate because understanding career through the birth chart. This is what Jenny has taken on, but listen, you got to listen to this because you don't hear anything about the full nature of what Jenny Sykes does in the world. And we were just talking about recruiting. So we're talking about career, but now we're talking about a birth chart because you see, this is what I love about what you do, Jenny. This is we are multidimensional beings. And this is so interesting now with the birth chart, with the 1 year, with the fire horse. And if you were born in the year of the ox, whoa, you're going to be getting set on fire and you're not going to want to. So this topic, tell me why this came up for you, because you've been in corporate America for like a couple of decades, right?
Absolutely. So yes. So to piggyback off that, it is a personal year one for all of us. It is the first month of the year. This is when people start going new year, new me, new job, new career, making the change, go, 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 right? And people are actively looking, and with the job market, it's intense. And it has been intense for probably about 2 years now. But one thing I wanted to bring up in the timing of it all is, yes, I've done this now for 2 decades, almost 2 decades. I can't claim 2 decades yet because I'm just a little shy of that. but corporate recruiting for almost 2 decades. And that means talking to at least 10 people a day times 5 days a week on weekends and holidays, offers and interviews and techniques and resumes and you name it. But what most people don't realize is you can take all of that oomph in finding a new job or a new career, say even right out of college, but you can also map it to the items in your birth chart. So the birth chart is a map and the numerology is a timeline. So if you are open to not only looking at your resume and how to beat the algorithms and which job boards are the best and how to like work with ChatGPT, but not work with ChatGPT because it's not always right and it will still kind of get a little wonky on you. If you pull all of the tools together, you create the pathway to success. And I love doing this for humans. I love it. This is a part of my passion, and it has been for 19 years, almost 20.
This is exciting for me because I got to look back, and last year I talked about the year of the snake, but I had no idea what the impact would be on me. And I don't have enough time in this show to get into it. I am going to do a show on it because the year of the snake for me, snake being one of my totems, just ripped the skin right off me in more than one way. And so I've been hanging on to this new energy, this new year, and it's not let me down. I mean, the Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl, okay? But part of this, though, is understanding the dynamic nature of who we are. Isn't it so that we know how to navigate the waters?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so if someone knows their sun sign, just naturally we all kind of know what our sign, what's your sign? Hey, what's your sign, right? We actually just know that part of
Well,
us.
you know my sign.
Yeah, well, you're a little freedom, fiery Sag, yes, with great philosophy and going to the roots. I love it. But yeah, I mean, so we know our signs in general, but if you can unpack your birth chart, which you don't have to go nitty gritty, you really don't. There are like top 5 items that I can look at and I can go boom, 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 and then look at your resume and then add in where you might best be suited, what roles would work really well with your personality, your makeup, your characteristics. And then we go diving into how to get that job, how to
But
get
you
that
also look at
career.
the career market. You also, your area of expertise, man, when we start this out, it's like people don't know how to read the market, but that's what you do too, right? It's looking at career through the lens of recruiting and economics, et cetera, and kind of bringing it all together because we don't think about that. You're right. I mean, even though I'm like Sag, I have a moon and 3 of the planets in Capricorn. That's why I actually showed up today for this show. But how do you do this? I mean, what is it and what patterns have you seen now?
As far as society goes with the job market?
As far as the career and as far as a recruiter, I mean, you've mentioned some of the things you've seen, right? What's kind of like at the top of your list that people that you sit with may want to know about before you can get into their chart?
Well, we want to find out where they're at. Why are you looking? Tell me the reason you're looking for something new, right? And I can have a 10-minute conversation and unpack it all just with some open-ended questions. And I typically do that. Why is it that you're looking for something new? Okay, you were laid off. Let's talk a little bit about that. Did you enjoy what you were doing? Or were you like, oh, this 9 to 5 is like not working for me? Okay, let's use that data, right? And now let's talk about your area of expertise, your wheelhouse, remote, hybrid, on site, your location. And now let's tap into the market for your little nugget of the world, right? So if you're in construction, you've got a whole nugget of positions, right? You've got a whole slew of positions. If you're in HR, whole slew of positions, government contracting, you have to kind of break it down into those areas. And you do have to talk about, all right, are you entry level, coming right out of college? Cool. Let me talk to you about your internships, right? And we're keeping up with the vision of what you have, what your soul is calling for outside of the roof overhead and food on table, right? We do still want that money coming in to provide, but we still want to unpack some of that data. I can do that in 10 minutes, maybe 15, just getting to know you. And then I say, all right, send me your resume. Let's take a look, right? How do we beat the algorithm? How do we beat out other job seekers? And I hate to even say it like that, but the job market is tough, tough. You could be one of 100 applicants and never even be viewed because guess what? The algorithm puts you at number 50 because you had that keyword one time. Was it your fault? No. The algorithm, they just didn't see it the way that you saw it, right? You wrote an amazing resume, but we have to be competitive. And I hate to say it like that, but as a recruiter, I can give you the tools to be competitive in a market that is really tough. But again, that market, it ebbs and flows. It
Yeah.
ebbs and flows.
It's interesting because we don't think about timing for things either.
Mm-mm.
And, part of this is what you talked about, cycles of things, timings of things.
Mhm.
And, even the best candidates go through a cycle that we're talking about and don't turn out on top and don't really get why.
Absolutely. So that's when I pull in the numerology and I kind of just sprinkle some of this in to kind of gauge if the human I'm interacting with is open to that. And 9 times out of 10, they really are, which is fantastic. It says something about society and how
Mhm.
we're willing to be open-minded. And we just unpack a little bit the numerology. So yes, we are in a collective personal year one, right? But individually, you might be 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, right? At the
Right.
end of a 9 year cycle. And guess what? It's probably not a good idea for you to just jump ship from where you're at. Why don't you ride it out? Give it until one. Give it until one and time it out the right way.
I love that we're talking about this because your example of blah, blah, blah just got laid off and how you react to that. I set myself up to be laid off at the right time and didn't realize I was 6 months away from a pension, but I set it up because I got a severance, it worked out well for me.
Mm-hmm.
But had I had perhaps a little bit more information, right, I could have still done what I did, but I'll never know. And yet, here we are today because somebody looking at making a change, looking at who they are, looking at their birth chart, right? I mean, it's hard to look at somebody who's so grounded in home to
Mm-hmm.
move clear across the world for a job, but that may be the opening.
It might be. Absolutely. Well, then let's talk about the humans that say, "Oh, I can't handle a 9 to 5. My circadian rhythm is not working with me and I feel so lost and I feel ashamed and I'm down in the dumps because I just can't do a 9 to 5 and what's wrong with me?" Those are the ones that I'm just like, "Hey, let's really unpack this. It's not
Yeah,
you. It's the fact that your midheaven in your birth chart is Sagittarius. Hello, Sagittarius, right? And you know what I'm talking about here, Dr.
yeah,
Pat. You
yeah,
want the freedom. You want adventure. You want experiences. You are not meant to be a 9 to 5er. So your career has to go with the map of your birth chart for your soul to be happy.
yeah. This the greatest change that I'm going through right now is doing the 9 to 5. And I haven't been able to adjust it, but you just gave me some insight into that. And, when people hear that I was getting up at 2 and 3 in the morning when I was on the West Coast, they think I'm out of my mind. However, that gave me the flexibility to do other things in the afternoon, right?
That's right.
So part of this factors in, and part of what you do is help them see the landscape by which they're getting ready to take the journey. And how do you help them look at this from a career consulting perspective? How do you blend astrology, numerology, and tell me about the birth chart? How does that fit in?
I love it. I love it. It's science and it's woo-woo and it's everything in between, right? You're merging left brain and right brain mentality with strategy. So with the birth chart, you take a look at the midheaven. That's the one that I just mentioned. That's your career. That's your reputation. That's your legacy. That's what you leave behind after you have departed from this earth. What people are reminded of about you. Like, man, she was amazing with people and she had a fiery mentality, right? So you take a look at the MC, but you also take a look at your sun and your rising And then you take a look at some of the pain points, like your North Node, which is like, oh, all right, that's my North Star, but I'm not really jiving with Aquarius energy. Well, guess what, friend? You might want to incorporate some of those characteristics and add that into your career. And then we take a look at your Chiron as well, which is the wounded healer, something you have from a past life. You want to take that, you want to heal it after you get to the root, and then you could teach it. So you add these different elements together, plus your Saturn. You definitely take a look at Saturn too, the disciplinarian, the slow and steady and my way or the highway kind of mentality. And you pull it all together and you do create that roadmap, if you will, for you. And it's your own personal roadmap. And I'll give you a little brief example. We'll just go my MC, my midheaven's in Leo. And Leo gets such a bad rap for limelight, for, oh, look at me, right? It's not like that at all. So when I found out my Leo was an MC, I was like, what am I going to do with this? What does this mean? But I gave it time. And then what am I doing right now with you? I'm on a podcast with Dr. Pat in the limelight, sharing what I'm passionate about, teaching what I'm passionate about. It's not a look at me thing. It's a part of my destiny. It's my midheaven.
And so when you talk about that on the chart, let's just point for people that don't know, where is the midheaven?
Yeah, so typically it's in the 10th house. Typically.
Know,
sometimes
right?
you might see it in the 9th. Sometimes you might see it in the 11th. Everybody's special, but typically in the 10th house. Yes.
That's so funny. And because part of this is everybody's going to be running now and looking at the birth chart. That's exactly what
I want them to. Yes,
I did. I pulled up my birth chart. But this is the birth chart. Now I want to ask you one question. How does the birth chart factor in to where you live today? See, we get confused about that. There's a solar return. I did my solar return back here in New Jersey, but the birth chart is the birth chart. This is where you were born. This is your deal. This is your date. This is your time. This is your birth chart. Tell us a little bit about what to look out for when we're looking at this and how to look at it in terms of career.
As far as astrocartography and the moving of places, that's a little bigger, right?
Well, let's just talk about it from a birth perspective. You're looking at this and people are like, water, what should I look at? How should I look at this midheaven? What if it's water? You know what I'm saying?
So with
because
that,
you have to factor it in.
You do have to factor it in. So what's really interesting about this is you can go to a baby, look at a baby's birth chart as soon as they're born. And this is so exciting. And it's not forecasting, if you will, but it is actually pulling in the elements of what is happening at the time that you're born. And you look at their sun and you look at their rising. Those are the two big factors. You look at their moon, how they work with their inner world, how they will work within their emotional space. And then MC. So you bring in those characteristics. Water everywhere. Is there water with a little bit of fire as an element? What's going to spark their interest? And you can almost map out that child's personality, right? Even before they've become a full adult. Now, if we want to reverse engineer it, we can look at ourselves as adults and then look back and go, well, that's why I do this when I'm upset, or I did this as a teenager, or I did this as a child, right? The different houses, the different planets, and then, the career itself as an adult. But you only need to take 4 or 5 little sections of your birth chart, and it's super easy once you map it. And then you talk to someone like me and you're bing, bang, boom, done.
I was shocked. I looked at my midheaven and I'm like, what? Midheaven is in Aquarius.
And what did I just tell you? Aquarius?
What the heck?
Oh, it's so hard.
But I would have never looked at that. And I still don't quite understand what it is. I know what my ascendant is, but ascendant's Taurus, midheaven. I just looked at the thing right here in my birth chart and I said, I've never looked at that before.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
Well, let's talk about that. So your midheaven's in Aquarius?
That's what it says. 1 degree, blah, 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 19. 1 AQ 19.
So with Aquarius, within your career, your reputation.
It's in the 11th house, I think.
Okay. See, I told you everyone's special.
Like that.
I told you everyone's special.
I'm just reading the chart. I apologize if I'm giving you
No, this
bad
is awesome. I
information.
love this real-time example. So your MC is Aquarius and your sun is Sagittarius, right?
That is it.
Okay. So your MC, career, legacy, reputation. At the end of days when people are going, this is what Dr. Pat brought. What did you bring? You brought your fire energy of Sag, your deep thought process of Sag, but your Aquarian humanitarian and bringing groups together in innovative ways to think bigger than the here and the now. And what are you doing with your podcast? What are you doing with your
Yeah.
show? What are you doing with your communities?
Yeah.
You're doing it.
And I think this is how, see, this is helpful information because I don't know that people want to stumble along like I did. I think I'm here because I was highly intuitive and I just went for it. But that is not what we're talking about in the career journey. You've got to get some insight here.
It's so easy. It's so easy. And yeah, if you want to just have your resume checked and make sure that the keywords are right and the placement is right. Oh, and that your resume parses nicely in the applicant tracking system that you don't see behind the scenes, right? You reach out to someone like myself that would do career consulting. But if you want to take it the next step, a step further, let's take a look at your birth chart. Literally 10, 15 minutes. Let's take a look at astrology and the numerology. So easy. So easy.
So as you do this, let's talk about, I know we've got a few minutes left and I want to make sure we catch the key points because you're right about this. I mean, I stormed out of my first real job at age 17 because they put me in the library to file library research books in the Dewey Decimal System.
No.
I was there 2 weeks after the mailroom. And I stormed into Doris Stoner and I said, I can't stand one more day. And I needed that job, right? Should have looked at my birth chart.
You could have.
But you understand, people are making these decisions without information. That's why I'm asking you about what information can you provide to people that are really looking at how do we crack this nut?
Absolutely. So one other thing I want to add with that question is that there are so many people who are actually leaving corporate America. There are lots of people that are, they've been laid off from the government. They took the DRP. There's lots of items that are involved with our evolvement. We are evolving as humans. So there are lots of folks that are saying, you know what? I want to shapeshift. I want to do something more purposeful, more spiritual, more soul-filled, something, but I don't know what that is. What is it? What is it? Let's take a look at the chart. Let's map it out. Like a Libra placement in MC, you're meant to be with people. You're bringing peace. You're bringing harmony. You're bringing love. The Aquarius, like we just talked about with you, you're bringing innovation and solutions. The Leo with me, it's getting in front of people and teaching and sharing and not gatekeeping because there's no purpose in me holding all the information. You go to Cancerian. Okay, well, then you've got a really strong niche of intuition and a motherly nature, nurturing nature. How can we use that to best explore your soul mission now that you are leaving your comfort zone of corporate America? So we can really tap in at all stages that the individual is at, being leaving college, graduating from college and getting your momentum to climb some ladders, or you're, in your 30s or 40s, or empty nesting. You no longer need that particular job. You're ready for the next thing. So wherever the human, the soul is at, that's where we can unpack it and take it and further lay out the path. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But I want to make sure people know how to get a hold of you to work with you because this is not something, I mean, I discovered something today I didn't know about myself at all. So how do people set time aside to sit down with you and say, look, I need to know how to now approach this from
Absolutely.
How do they do that?
Simply go to my website, Ascending Dawn Doula, Ascending Dawn as in the break of dawn, Doula, DOULA.com. And under the services tab, you can book a one-on-one complimentary session with me. That's 20 minutes, my time, your time, complimentary. Let's do it. And then if you want to go right into scheduling some time with me, you can very easily do that through my website and just book a career consult. It'll have an add-on where do you want to add on astrology? Check yes. Check yes. Let's do it.
I mean, this is so interesting. And for somebody like me who knows very little about it, I do understand the nature of it. And I understand more things now. I was just looking at Linda's chart. Midheaven is in Virgo, my little triple gazillion Virgo, Linda.
Oh my gosh. Analytical, logical, acts of service. Love it.
Yeah. And yet I had no idea. I mean, I only have a little Sag in my chart compared to how much Virgo she's got. She's got like 5 different things in Virgo. Now, what does that mean?
Oof,
Well, we have to sit with you because
Yeah.
somebody that is that analytical going into a 1 fire year, you're either going to burn up on the way or you're going to get some help to guide you along, right?
Absolutely. And if she's got that many planets in Virgo, that means she has a stellium.
I had no idea.
3 or
There's so
more
many.
is a stellium, which means there is a lot of
I counted
strong
4.
Virgo
It's
energy.
like 4.
Yeah.
Like Sun, Moon, Venus, like but this is why we're talking about it. And I want to make this clear to people because you're the person they can go to understand things that are so hard as people to understand.
And I love and I'm honored to be able to be that person, taking something that I've been truly enamored with since I was a child, learning and growing every single day, and helping guide with little nuggets of information that people just didn't even realize.
Well, I'm going to get on your
magical is that?
calendar. I have to get on your calendar now because I am understanding more about what I'm feeling, but not enough to know how to move forward. And that's the key. That's the key. When we're looking at this, we're not unidimensional. We're not.
No.
We haven't even talked about the energies of the 1 year, the snake, fire, horse, but that's what you do. What's your personal message? What do you want to leave us with?
Oh,
And give out your website. Let's find out how we
yes.
get a hold
So
of you.
website is Ascending, ASCENDING, Dawn is in the break of dawn, doula, DOULA.com. Very easy to find. I know it's a mouthful, but Ascending Dawn Doula. And as far as the final message, I would say we each have a unique path, and we are the creators and co-creators of that unique path. But wouldn't it be great if you had a little bit of information just to help guide you on that path so you could be your biggest, most wonderful self?
And talk to Jenny about picking your friends. Let me leave you with this note. In an ordinary world, a personality like me and a personality like my best friend would not make it, except if my best friend with all that Virgo had an ascendant of Sagittarius and a Chiron of Sagittarius. So I'm going to leave you with that, and I'm going to book my appointment for Jenny.
Oh my gosh, that is
Thank
so
you.
amazing, Dr. Pat. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. For all of you out there, please don't try to navigate the waters of this year by yourselves. Please. It is extremely vibrant. And if you're not up for it, get some guidance. Call Jenny. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in with me, Jenny Sykes of Ascending Dawn Doula. Please tune in every 4th Tuesday at 11 Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who's walked with you through a transition. And if you're curious about how to align with your purpose, with your path, come find me at ascendingdawndoula.com or Ascending Dawn on socials. Thanks again for listening. Keep rising, and I will see you next time.